Okay, that was Demon Slayer Season 3, Episode 8.
That it was. That's
Muichiro, I know, like, every character in the show in their own right could, but Muichiro really could be a main character of his own series. Like,
he could become a main character of this series.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, like, obviously, especially since we don't have Inosuke and Zenitsu in this arc, it almost, both plot-wise and talent, it all makes sense for Tokito to have the spotlight on him.
Yeah.
Like, Mitsuri, obviously she's a Hashira, so it makes sense to get some highlight. Like, we got Rengoku and Tengen, but Tokito especially, because of both having the mark like Tanjiro, the family ties, the ancestry, I kind of, like, hoping that Tokito, like, continues on as, like, more of a presence.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, a Giyu type character that kind of stops in. You know, every once in a while we see him and we're like, oh my god, it's Giyu!
Yeah, like, the way that the show goes, I'm, like, worried, right? Because the last two instances with Hashira kind of being involved with us have resulted in death and then retirement.
Yes.
And, like, Muichiro has his life ahead of him.
But we're growing. We had death, and then we had retirement.
Yeah.
So now we have survival. And continue on with work.
Do you think Muichiro is aware of his markings, like, and has had them previously?
I feel like the energy was that this was new for him because he finally, as the swordsmith kind of backstory that we got, was saying that he was anxious, he was barely breathing, and then we get that line of, like, what the Mu in Muichiro actually means.
Yeah.
I think that was, like, him, now that he's finally regained his memory, processed who he actually is deep down and why his brother wanted to protect him in the first place.
Yeah.
And the beauty of that. I think that was him transcending into this actual ultimate true version of himself.
I feel like I could see it either way, because that makes a lot of sense to me, but at the same time, like, he's a Hashira already, right? Mm-hmm. He was vomiting blood from how much work he was putting in, and obviously he's incredibly strong, so he probably had to already ascend and go beyond his limits previously.
The whole vomiting blood aspect, I think it can probably relate to a lot of the Hashira, and it makes me really, really like them. As we said, I believe last episode, that the battles feel hard fought. I think that when we know how hard these characters that are demon slayers actually push themselves and work in order to save people, it feels really good and really rewarding, and it feels, I think it just shows the weight of how much they are putting their lives on the line in order to hopefully protect one more person.
Yeah.
And to be strong, that they are vomiting blood. I mean, we've seen Tanjiro put his body through things that we're like, how is he even going to bounce back from this?
Yeah.
We saw Tengen fully poisoned, only one arm. Like, there's just something about it that, especially with this episode and the idea of being the chosen people are the ones with infinite strength for others, to protect others.
Yeah.
Oh, it feels so good to know, like, that they actually push themselves and they want it so bad.
Other than, you know, Tanjiro himself, from the Demon Slayer, like, side of the war, this was, like, the most brutal backstory and, like, history that we've ever seen. I think that...
We got, like, family issues with Rengoku.
Yeah. And we had, got to know what Uzui went through as well, and, like, his family history and, like, his loss of his siblings.
But it was also, like, a little bit uplifting at the end, because these 3 wives that he gets end up being, like, his best friends and supports.
Yeah.
And so there was an uplifting end to it, where Muichiro just, like, lost his memory.
Well, the thing with Muichiro is, like, from expectation, especially from Genya and what we just got from Genya, I kind of assumed that it would go a similar vein of, okay, parents, rainy night, demon, parents dead.
I also completely thought that it was either the dad was out and gonna, as we saw the dad on the cliffside, I was like, okay, dad's gonna fall, a demon's gonna come in while mom's sick and can't defend the house.
Yeah.
Tokito can't defend her. Boom. They really They really twisted it here. To have the whole thing that he took on his brother's personality.
The thought that he even had a brother, right?
He even had a twin.
Yuichiro. They didn't show it in any of the opening. They kind of like made us think we knew it was gonna happen with seeing the parents in the background. And
well, now I want to go and like actually analyze the openings and the outro, because all that was different about their design, I think there was an eyebrow arch on Yuichiro, but it's just the color of their outfit.
Yeah.
It was just a slightly different color scheme in the same family of color. I think it was like black with like a turquoise teal blue.
Yeah.
So I'm like, do we actually see it? And it's like more like a haha, got you. You didn't know that this wasn't Tokito?
Probably not.
Probably not, because of the eyebrow, and he had a little more of a eyebrow.
I don't know. It added to like my thought of like, oh my god, he could be a main character like in his own show.
Spin-off.
And then I'm like, how the timing for Lady Amane, right? The things that make sense to me at least is that they were aware of their familial bloodline, and through the crows, they probably had knowledge that their parents were gone and were living alone and wanted to offer them a way out.
A protection, possibly.
Yeah.
I believe that in Master's mind, he might have been like, if we know who they are descendants of, then it's pretty safe to say that the demons might know who they are descendants of.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're kids, right?
He was 10 and then 11.
If I'm trying to think of like Yuichiro, and we didn't get to see him prior to his parents' death, but we got the idea of what kind of people they were and what kind of people Muichiro was. Or person Muichiro was. And if that's your life and you love your family, and then something as drastic as your parents, both of them, being lost in the same night happens, and you only have one piece of family left, I can see the perspective of like, okay, that attitude led to the greatest devastation of my entire life. I'm just going to do the opposite. I'm going to run the opposite direction.
And it really fits with the fact that we know that he had amnesia, and if he hadn't lost his memory, he probably wouldn't have changed, because he heard that final things that his brother was saying as his brother was dying. If he had retained memory of those things that his brother said about him, I don't think that he would have taken on his brother's personality and acted a totally different way.
Yeah.
Honestly, just in going forward, I am interested in Tokito's interactions with Tanjiro now that he has realized like who he is and why Tanjiro seemed familiar to him and what his true personality is. What's an interaction between them going to be? Are they going to be best friends? Like, what's going to happen? How's Tanjiro going to react to this?
I think just like a more appreciation for Tanjiro, and Tanjiro's just going to be like, yep.
Like, are they going to hug?
I don't know. Maybe.
I
think that Gyoko continued to be Gyoko this episode.
Yep.
Haganeska continued to be Haganeska, though, at the same time.
Yes. They both are very true to themselves, I guess.
One I love, one I hate. So I had thought, like, okay, maybe Muichiro was... he had the ability to become so proficient so quick, partly maybe because of the wood cutting. That was disproven when I saw that demon being obliterated with every single type of weapon, not just chopping, but like, or slicing, but like stabbing and shit too. He went red. That entire sequence when it was black and red was insane. Boulders on his face.
This was the first event in Tokito's life where he had someone to protect. All he could do for his mom when she was sick was make sure she wasn't cold, to take care of her, to take the cloth off her head and replace it with a new one. That's all he could do there. But this was the first, and this is what he wanted. He was so excited about this idea of possibly going with Master's wife, Amane, and becoming a demon slayer and protecting others.
Yeah.
This was the first instance, and you always hear it of like people in like there's special situations where they just like push past the boundaries of human technique and talent. Yeah. And they just do something outrageous and crazy and strong. And obviously, Muichiro can do that. He is a chosen one. Infinite strength.
I love the implication here too, like of the demon's corpse on the ground, because you see some limbs like apart from the axe. But the thing that gets me is, other than the 2 boulders that I think he had to resort to for the demon's head, I don't think they were stakes of wood. I think that they were just logs. Like, as no in, there's no point. And then he has a hammer in his hand and had the utter infinite strength and power to just mallet them through this demon's body.
That's awesome, but then there's also this really nice touch of, like, these
gardening
shears in his side.
Jesus Christ. I think that the entire sequence of Yuichiro jumping in front and losing his arm was one of the most brutal things I've seen in the show. Like obviously we've seen like entire families be eviscerated, but like with the animation and it hitting the wall. And the arm
just kind of like flies back. Oh.
Interesting.
Gosh.
Lady Amane seems so cool.
I know. I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
Where does he rank for you? Muichiro in terms of Hashira.
Oh my god, really high. Really, really high.
It's hard to rank the Hashira because all of them are just like the best characters in the show.
And I know that there's a bunch we haven't really gotten to meet yet, and like the snake Hashira, you know, that comes up to Tengen at the very end of season 2. There's so many that we haven't met that I'm like, oh, my list of like who in order for who's my favorite would probably be totally changed by the end of the series.
Yeah.
But he's pretty high right now. I think he might be on the top at the moment just because I think he ticks all the boxes for me in terms of like a visual design and a fighting style and then backstory.
Do you think that we will get some Rengoku through Mitsuri this season?
I hope so. I mean, we did learn that wasn't she his like Sugoku or something?
Yeah, Suguko or whatever.
Yeah.
That's I believe the case, and that's why I hope that we might be able to get some, I don't know.
Even if it's some like layered effect like we get from Tanjiro in his fight with the emotions 2 episodes ago.
I see how the training like left a mark because they both have a vast appreciation for food, seemingly. Right?
That might be why they chose to, like, you know, train together.
Yeah.
It was because they both appreciated good cooking.
Could never stop eating.
I hope that if we do get kind of a flashback of them or get some Rengoku with Mitsuri, I hope we get a scene, or at the end after the outro, in the Taishara Secret, we get a flashback of them, like, eating together, being like, umai.
Yeah. Oh, that would break my heart at the same time.
But it'd be great. You'd appreciate it.
I have a question.
Even if it hurt.
I have one more question for you, I think. Would Haganeska's like drive and attention have been diverted if Gyoko had went for the other swordsmith?
That's a really good. Oh gosh. I mean, I think this is like his best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Part of me wants to say yes.
Part of me wants to say yes.
That's only because I'm like, I hope I don't know. But then I'm like, this concentration obviously seems like it's a big trait of his. And it's a plus point.
Took his eye out.
He took his eye out.
That's a shit thing to do.
That's doing onto him. That's different than if it was doing onto someone else that he cared about. So I honestly have no clue, and I'm glad that they didn't make him make a choice, right? Honestly, because we could have been sitting here wishing he had made a different choice or feeling a little funky about the choice that was made. So I'm glad that he didn't have to make a choice.
It's no secret that I dislike Gyoko, but for his sake, I hope that Tokido takes him out before Tanjiro realizes what he did to Haganeska. Like, I'm sorry, you're fucked, buddy. Like, you're done. You will not live to see tomorrow.
Tokido has his new sword now.
It's so pretty, too.
There's no way he's not winning.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
I love that they take their time with the fights, too. Yeah, the blades, like, it's like that, it's like a gradient of the color of his hair. All right, that's all I have, you.
Is Kotetsu alive? Yes.
I'm glad that you brought that up because the whole Kotetsu situation hits a lot harder after learning about Yuichiro.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he's alive.
I hope he's alive.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.
Tanjiro put his body through things that were like, how is he even gonna bounce back from this? Tanjiro put his body through things that were like, how is he even gonna bounce back from this? We're like, how is he even gonna bounce back from this?
We're like, how is he even gonna bounce back from this?